So I guess the first question is, how are we going to top last week's episode, guys?
It was a recording for the ages. I am genuinely still upset that we lost that, and I still have my MP3. Like, I sit there and look at it on my desktop, and I'm like, oh, man, I'll never forget you.
You can delete that. I mean, I deleted mine, so there's no way we're going to, like, cobble together, you know.
I was going to suggest that if you felt up to it, you could put your two audio recordings together, and then I could just record along with it.
I literally, after you had told us that you lost yours, I sent Leon a message saying, hey, send me yours. I'll stitch ours together and just I'll edit it so it seems like Johnny missed the recording. Like,
no.
And he was like, no, that's dumb.
I didn't say that's dumb. I just said, no, it's a wash.
I could have recorded a commentary track to it. So it's like you guys jump in and say something, and then I could add like a little bit of a kind of a hushed tone, maybe like a lower tone, so that it like comes in and I'm like, okay, at this part, I was really trying to channel some sort of like Joseph Heller humor. So like for
then you'd be like, hey guys, Johnny Maloney here. I just want to tell you, like, this is the part I had a really good goof about 420, and then we talked about time travel, and I named a bunch of physics books, and then we talked about dicks. Like, it was 10 minutes of weed jokes, 20 minutes of time travel, and then Leon told like a half an hour story that he immediately ended with, I'm going to cut that all out. Which is my favorite Leon sentence, by the way.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't want to spend too much time on this in memoriam. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
That episode. But I probably will bring up a couple of questions that we already answered, just to give quick answers, because there was some information I wanted to get out there from before people. But besides that, there is another big story to talk about, Leon. A big seismic shift in people being able to listen to our stuff, by which, of course, I mean Nintendo announced that the NX is getting moved to March 2017. Haha, I snuck a video game reference on. Fight me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not a seismic shift because it, like, affects my business in, like, the tiniest way. Actually, it doesn't at all.
Would you call it an economic revolution?
No, I would call it, like, a one-day hiccup that immediately corrected itself.
Would you call it a change in the zeitgeist?
No, I would not call it a change in the zeitgeist. I would call it none of those things. No, I mean, I left Channel Awesome 2 days ago as of this recording, I guess.
And now you work for Studio Ghibli, of course.
Would you call it call it breaking down social boundaries?
No, stop.
What about breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo?
Would you call it Herald?
No.
We're just ignoring Johnny's bullshit from now on, I think.
Yeah. No.
The joke's on you is that you could have published the episode last week because you guys never pay attention to anything I say anyway. So
that was my point. I tweeted about it and someone said, like, honestly, I don't understand anything Johnny says anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered.
Well, then I guess I'll have to change it this episode.
Yeah.
Make sure I speak to our core audience.
You're gonna have to accidentally make sense.
Butts.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did want to point out real quickly that the Channel Awesome stuff isn't going to change that much, as Leon said. But last week, someone asked about like where the new podcast that I'm doing and Johnny's doing, Game Crunk, is going to go. So that's on my Patreon, patreon.com/AustinYorski. It's also up on Podbean and iTunes and stuff. You can just search Game Crunk or Dice Funk. It'll all come up. But we're not going to be on Channel Awesome anymore. So that means we have to, like, pimp our stuff now. We have to be more specific about where everything is instead of just saying, like, you know where it is. If you're listening to this, you know where all our stuff is. Like, you have to go to...
In all seriousness, when I say it's not a seismic shift, I mean, like, the day before I left Channel Awesome, like, without going into too many, like, business details, only the tiniest fraction of my audience listened or watched any of my shows through embeds at Channel Awesome. I'm able to like map these things out through like analytics now. Only like the tiniest amount did. And immediately after I left and said, hey, if you watch my stuff on Channel Awesome, make sure you just subscribe to my YouTube. I got hundreds of new YouTube subscribers within like 24 hours. So basically all those people who just keep going to Channel Awesome to click on my stuff, they all just said okay collectively.
Yeah,
it will literally change nothing is what I'm trying to say, business wise. But yeah, if you want to follow my stuff, go to my YouTube, and that's all there is to it. It's no big deal. There's like a minor issue with YouTube right now that I have to deal with every once in a while due to copyright strike. By the time you're listening to this, it'll either be resolved or will be resolved a day later, as it always is. It's like not a big deal. Just go to YouTube, and that's all there is to it.
Or you could be like a smart little ferret and follow Leon on Patreon.
You could follow me on Patreon, but my Word Funk and Dice Dunk Funk, uploads and whatnot do not go there. You can get Austin's stuff all on his Patreon, but my Patreon is specifically for stuff that you pay for. And this is not a money-making enterprise that we're recording right now. It's just a thing we do.
That just gave me someone's mispronunciation just gave me a great idea for season 3 of Dice Funk. Dice Dunk, a basketball RPG.
That's the season I won't be doing.
You're no fun.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not going to do it. Not unless it's Space Jam related. We're all Space Jam characters.
Why wouldn't we be?
Could we call it Shut Up in Space Jam?
We could call it Shut Up in Space Jam.
Yeah, there's a lot of good sports humor coming up, guys. Buckle your fucking seatbelts.
Yeah.
That's the kind of show this is now. Freed from the shackles of Channel Awesome.
Could we call it Shut Up and Space and Time Jam?
So I feel like we have like a few important things to say, but they're all like scattershot over the past 6 minutes. And you have to like pick them apart and like piece them all together.
Joke's on you, Leon. I have nothing important to say.
Okay. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is if you want to listen to all the stuff that you listen to me from, usual, you just go do it through YouTube, which is what 99% of my audience did before. And if you want to listen to Dice Funk, like immediately after it comes out, you go to Austin's Patreon, and that's all there is to it. I post.
If you want to listen to me, you can just do it like the rest of the people on the internet and be exposed to me without actually asking for it by listening to other people's stuff.
Yeah. I post Austin's Dice Funk show on my YouTube at his request, but it is really his show, and if you want to get it first, you just go to his Patreon, and that's it. Those are like business related stuff that we had to get out of the way.
I mean, because you say that, I know you have the stats, and I have the stats for my show too, that most people listen to or watch our stuff in certain ways, but you can't also discount the ways that people get to that stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, most people watch your stuff on YouTube, but a lot of them got there through Channel Awesome before becoming like YouTube specific.
But back in the day, that was certainly true. Years ago, Channel Awesome was very good for me for exposure. Which is why, I did a little video, and the first thing I said was, thank you. But now, the vast majority of my new viewers, like, stumble upon my show through YouTube because it's all sort of, like, interconnected and stuff. So that's just sort of the way things are now.
Would you say that that YouTube is connected in a way reminiscent somewhat of a net?
I love every time Johnny opens his mouth, Leon mutters under his breath, and I don't know if our listeners can hear it, but as someone who's really used to editing the audio of us talking, I can see the waveform in my mind of the way that Leon's muttering looks in Audacity. It's really good.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You can edit this out if you don't want people to know. But would you be looking for like another network or any kind of
not even a little? Not really. No, no, I'm not. I'm not.
You're an island unto yourself now?
No, I'm not looking for a new internet reviewer website to host my show. I'm
not to host, but just like like you share your viewers, they share their.
No, I understand.
Yeah, Leon, maybe you're looking for some legitimate associates.
No, I'm legitimately not. No, I want everyone to just go there. No, I'm not gonna like. Never mind. There's like a few similar sites to Channel Awesome right now, but if I started saying like, no, I'm not interested in blank, then I'd be sort of offending some of my friends who work at blank. So,
take that, Super Movie Tits 49.
no, it's
the premier movie tits destination.
No, yeah, it's not. No. Anyway, I mean, we could just talk about how unimportant this move has been for the audience and how it affects like almost nothing about my day to day.
Well, the most important thing is you always used to say to me, no, Austin, we can't call this episode like Enema Pizza because Channel Awesome will object to that name, that objectionable name that you just said.
First of all, let me just interject. First of all, we could absolutely have called something Enema Pizza. That's not a cuss word, either of those things. But no, we can't start calling like our episodes like Fuck Face and the Fuck Faces because basically you can put cuss words into your the title of your YouTube video, I believe.
Yeah, it just nukes the discoverability.
It absolutely does, and it also wrecks some of your ads. Not that ad revenue is like a big part of the income for Renegade Cut or anything that I do. But for those reasons, no, we're not going to suddenly start calling it's like this is Word Funk. What episode 1? I can't remember, but let's pretend this is episode 107. This is not going to be called Word Funk number 107 Dick Cheese. It's just not going to be called that. It'll be called some.
So it's not going to be called Fuckface and the Fuckfaces
No,
either?
No, it's not going to be called any of that. Like I said,
well, there goes my barbershop quartet story.
Right. What I'm trying to say is this changes literally nothing about the production or quality or anything of anything that I do. It's like so nothing that I'm surprised we've gone 12 minutes talking about it. That there's just.
I mean, it is the biggest news in your life right now. It's
not.
Like people care. People care.
That's a little presumptive, Austin, to say that this is obviously the biggest news in Leon's life. Maybe he came on thinking that he was gonna. Like, perhaps he had a really good goulash last night, and he was really excited about telling us about it.
No. His public life.
No. As it pertains to the show, I guess this is like a big deal in the sense that I worked there for 5 years, and some people associated me with that, but not for a while. What I mean that it's not a big deal. It's a big deal in the sense that, a lot of people commented on it, but it's not a big deal in anything that I'm creating. And it's certainly not the biggest thing that's happening in my life. I had to get my car back from the shop earlier today. That affected me like significantly more because I didn't have a ride for a while. That was way more of a hassle.
Have you had any good goulashes lately?
I don't think I've ever had goulash.
Man, you're missing out.
Okay.
Have you ever had a borscht?
No.
I like saying borscht.
Okay.
It's fun.
It's nice. But no,
So
we keep saying that there's nothing to say, and you keep asking about are there things to say, but I don't know what else to say.
We haven't stopped talking,
right?
So clearly there's something
No,
to say.
I know.
I mean,
I feel like you're interviewing me, but you knew about this like a month in advance.
Maybe more than that. I knew about it. I was on the Hive's Hot Scoops. That's why they call me Austin Hot Scoops Yorski. I was ahead of this story.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone does, is wondering, I alerted both Austin and Johnny weeks ahead of time that this is happening, and anyone who needed to know.
Only I didn't do anything with it, which is why they called me Johnny Colt Scoops Maloney.
Right.
And frankly, Leon, I think leaving Channel Awesome is kind of a old hat for this show. 2 of the 3 people have done it like years ago. You're really the last one to catch up on that train.
It's true. Pretty sure you guys were fired, but whatever.
I definitely quit on January 1st.
Yeah, and I wasn't. I don't know. I'm not sure they know that I'm still around.
Do you really not know the story of how I left?
No,
Channel Awesome?
I do. I know you quit, and then Johnny was like quietly phased out.
Okay, because it's not a secret, and I don't mind if you leave this in. I think it's kind of funny, and it's not like Channel Awesome cares enough to be mad about it.
No.
But like, here's a weird coincidence. The other day, I got a really ominous text. It just said, "How do you sleep?" And I was like, whoa, am I in trouble? Because it was from my dad. And I thought I was like a how do you sleep at night, like angry thing.
Oh, okay.
But no, he was like, I Googled you. How do you get any sleep? Like you have 3 podcasts and do all these articles and stuff. And it was like, oh, you're so busy was the idea. But he also, upon Googling me, found an interview I gave to, I guess like a pro scary hashtag people, because I figured like I didn't have anything to hide. There's no reason not to talk to these people, and I did, and you can find it.
Yeah, I think I read this article.
They contacted me like, oh, would you talk about this Channel Awesome stuff? And I was like, I mean, there's no reason not to. Like, I don't have anything to hide. Like, the truth doesn't hurt anybody who doesn't deserve to be hurt. And I think they were really upset that it was really boring stuff. Like, it wasn't like salacious. I was like, yeah, I mean, we tried to do some video game website stuff, and there wasn't enough money, and then we went our separate ways. And it was like, oh yeah, that's the hot headlines. Yeah, that everyone wanted.
It read like they were trying so hard to like put a lens on it, and it just didn't. Because most of the article was about the collapse of the website before the site even collapsed. Like most of it was like Angry Joe in charge of the website, and all this happened, and blah blah blah. And I was like, no.
Yeah. Like the spin that was trying to be put on it was that there was certain like more liberal site members who were clashing with more hashtag friendly members. I still feel weird about saying the actual name of the group, but that wasn't just the reality, the situation. It had nothing to do with it. Like nobody gave 2 shits. We just wanted to get paid for work. That's literally all it is. And that's kind of a boring story because it's the internet. Everybody's trying to get paid.
You can say the name of the group, Austin. Neo-Nazis.
Good joke.
Thanks.
But yeah, so I'm really open about that stuff. It doesn't bother me at all. But the moral of that story is I got a creepy text that turned into a conversation about my work habits, which are unhealthy. I can't stop doing stuff and making new projects. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just posted the latest Game Crunk, and we had Johnny's brother on, a fucking like speedrunner of some skill, and I'm actually booking like new guests. We have a composer coming up. We have a comedian. I have a friend who fucking writes the subtitles for TV shows. I think we're gonna have her on. So if you're like watching closed captioning and you ever wonder who writes them, we're gonna blow the lid off that. Like there's crazy shit coming down the pipeline, and it's just like it's not as exciting behind the scenes as some people think. Internet drama is mostly boring. I'm sorry. I wish it was more exciting. Everyone just wants to get paid for work.
Yep. So we've spent almost 19 minutes now basically just talking about this show on this show, which I don't know if is meta or not, if that's the word. But so do you...
It is, but there's also the autobiographical part of the autobiographical nightmare.
That's true, but it's like we're like literally talking about us talking. But okay.
If you don't like that, let us know in the comments. We won't talk about inside baseball anymore. But I've always found people are interested in that stuff.
Okay. All right. I just mean because like I said everything I wanted to say about me leaving Channel Awesome in a preemptive frequently asked questions post I made. There's like that's literally all that I care to say. Yeah.
You got out ahead of it.
Oh yeah, it was great. I thought that was pretty good. And so, do you want to talk about actual shit?
Yeah, sure. I think you mentioned before we started that you wanted to talk about a weird little goblin that is infesting American televisions currently.
Yeah. Okay. So, like,
or is he a hobgoblin? Because there's a difference. Like, I feel like they're often confused.
Yeah.
But they are distinct species.
Yeah. Okay. No, I it was either 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago because I've lost track due to the lost episode. But yeah, here's the thing about we talked about Ted Cruz a little while ago, and today, although he has been mathematically removed as a possible presidential candidate, he's still actually in the race in hopes of basically denying Donald Trump the amount of delegates to win in the first round. But here's the thing. If he and, John Kasich do that, when it's time for the second round of voting, they're not going to vote for Ted Cruz, as he is widely disliked among his own party. It's not a thing that's going to happen. But he really wants to appear presidential. So he long before the convention, which is very, very unusual, announced who his not vice president is going to be when he's not president, and that's Carly Fiorina. She has never held political office ever before.
A goblin and a troll?
She's never been anything, but she much like Donald Trump thinks that makes her qualified to immediately be leader of the free world. I mean,
it is kind of beautiful how politics brings together different species. Like, you'd never see a goblin and a troll in the wild interacting.
That's true.
Like this stage. I mean, it's just kind of like you see those videos of like a lion and a dog that were raised together, and they don't know that they're different species, and it's kind of cute.
Yeah,
even though you always, in the back of your mind, you're always worried that one day the lion's gonna flip out and hurt the dog.
Yeah, I mean, there is that. Look, here's the thing. You have to, if you want to be in politics, you got to start somewhere. So, run for city council or mayor, or if you have like
or just kiss Ted Cruz's ass.
Or you could just try to jump all of that and be president right away.
It's going really well for Donald Trump.
It is going really well for Donald Trump. That's the strange thing about it. But here's some fun.
It's not strange at all. It's all marketing. It has nothing to do with like actual qualifications.
No, I understand that. I understand that. I'm just saying it's troubling. Here's some funny things about Carly Fiorina. Not funny, just sad. That you may or may not know. She claimed that a widely distributed and completely debunked anti-Planned Parenthood tape contained scenes that it didn't have, and kept insisting that she had seen them. She hijacked a preschool class trip and had all these kids sit next to a large poster of an unborn fetus. Their parents did not give approval for this. She just did it.
That's why she's such a good fit with Ted Cruz. You told that little girl that the world was literally on fire.
I like your style, Fiorina, he probably said in a creepy way. What else? Here's something. There's something I want to double check that this is true, because I feel like it can't possibly be. No, it is. I'm going to put this in the chat, and this may be the title card. In fact, it almost certainly will be. Somehow, Carly Fiorina took a picture of herself with a bunch of puppies, and it's not cute. It's the only picture, just because not her personal appearance. She looks perfectly fine for a lady of her age. She just, is.
It looks like she's kind of sizing them up on which one to eat first.
Yeah, she's just personally unpleasant. So
that white dog looks like existentially sad.
I like the one to the far left of the picture that's just looking at the other two dogs, and you gotta believe he's thinking, "There, but for the grace of God, go I."
That does remind me of the bird who flew onto Bernie Sanders' podium like a goddamn Disney princess. Although my understanding, he has been like mathematically eliminated from winning the nomination in a traditional
in the traditional sense at this point. Yeah, the only way that Bernie Sanders could be president now is if between now and the convention, Hillary Clinton is indicted on felony charges, which is not impossible because there is a Republican running the FBI. But were I the Republican running the FBI, I wait until she's the nominee and then spring it during the general.
Or if Bernie pulls the sword from the Capitol stone.
That's true.
In which case he automatically becomes the new president.
Everybody always forgets about that little caveat.
I mean, it hasn't happened since, I think, Lincoln? It's been a while.
Yeah, that dude had a set of pipes.
Yeah. It's like next to impossible that Sanders will be the nominee, just as it is, again, like next to impossible that Ted Cruz will be the nominee. Sanders is not picking a vice president right now, though. I think he knows what's up, and I think he knows that would be highly presumptuous. He's just kind of like going to truck this thing out until it's over. Oh, well. Anyway, that's the thing I wanted to say about both Ted Cruz and Carly Fiorina. They're now a duo And I don't know what that means for America.
Joined together forever in hopelessness.
Yeah. Anywho, that's what I wanted to talk about this week. I have a Baltimore story, but it's not a bad Baltimore story. It's like a really hopeful, heartening Baltimore story. It sounds
Did you
like
find that baby stroller?
No. It sounds like this is going to be a bad story, and at first it was. But what happened was I went to the grocery store and got all my groceries and put them in the back seat, and started driving my car home. And I was like 3 blocks away, and my car stopped at a light, just stopped dead, and stopped so much that I couldn't even put it into neutral to move it to the side of the road. So it was just kind of there for a long time. At least an hour and a half as I waited for my tow. The wonderful thing about it, though, was at least 20 different people stopped to ask if they could help me, which was just so nice. And frankly, unexpected, because, I've never had my car break down in such a public place before. And it was, nighttime. I expected someone to be a dick about it, or at least honk at me, or something like that. But no, everyone was just super helpful. I mean, they couldn't do anything about it, but just the fact that they wanted to, really made me feel good. So that is the best Baltimore story I can give you. People are generally good, even though we live in Baltimore. So,
the exact opposite happened to me recently.
Okay.
I was walking down the street, and it was not the greatest part of town, and it was, I'm trying to remember what time it was. It was getting dark, and a car broke down right next to me, literally right next to me. And the woman who got out was a college girl, 18 or 19 or something. And I was walking by, and I was like, oh, I should stop and help or something. And then I thought, what can I offer that she can't? I don't have a jack with me or something. She's just gonna call for help the same way I could. And also, I'm a scary 6'4" dude in this not great part of town, and it's kind of getting dark, and I don't want to be that guy. So I kept walking, and I felt bad because I wanted to help, but I just realistically, what could I offer? And is it worth the couple seconds of panic as scary rando approaches you, which I'm always trying to be conscious of.
What you do, the only thing you need to do is from a distance say, hey, do you need me to call someone? And if she says no, then you say, okay, and then you go, and then obligation of humanity fulfilled. And it's not scary because you're way the hell over there.
But you don't understand how close this car broke down to me.
Okay.
I could reach out and touch it. I would have had to run away and then turn around and yell, which might have been even creepier.
All right. That's there. Yeah, there may be some truth to that. I understand. All right.
Nothing of the sort happened to me this week.
Okay.
You're the odd man out. It's just weird because I'm a pretty big, intimidating dude, but when people approach me in public, even I have that moment of, oh god, don't talk to me. And I can only imagine that's magnified if you're a much smaller or vulnerable person. And you hear all the time about street harassment, and people are like, oh, it personally doesn't bother me, or, oh, it's a compliment. But it's upsetting when someone approaches you, no matter your gender, although I'm sure it's magnified for minorities and women or whatever, but as the person on the other side, I'm trying to be sensitive to that, but I also don't want to be not helpful, because that's also dickish. I don't know what to do. I did my best. I tried.
Okay. No, you literally did not try.
I tried to think about it. I put effort into the conception of it.
Okay, no, I understand. I mean, I can sit here and say, here's what you should have done, but in the situation, I don't know exactly what I would have done here. Although I cannot even imagine someone looking at me and thinking I'm intimidating.
I'm just waiting to read, pick up a newspaper someday, because that's a thing people still do, and see, the headline is, woman stranded on the side of road, eaten by college students. Just devoured whole by rabid cannibal liberal arts majors. Sorry.
No, okay. Now, if you look at my Twitter avatar, everyone, that's what I look like all the time. Just, half smiling, I just smelled something nice. And just this really effeminate gaze. That's
How do you have an effeminate gaze? Are you the female gaze? Did your eyes film Magic Mike?
That's just what I look like, is what I'm trying to say, anyway. But, yeah. Okay, so, those are the things I want to talk about this week, and, like, we've already run through it, so that sucks. Before we get into, anything, else, I'm not doing this well at all this week. The first 20 minutes of this show are just garbage of me saying, nah, it's nothing. And then the last 11 or so have just been me saying, you know what's really nice? People. So that's been...
In case you fell asleep during the first half hour, that's Leon's recap of the first half of Word Funk. It's a new segment we do here for people with insomnia. Or no, what's it? Narcolepsy. Fuck, I fucked that up. I did the opposite thing.
We didn't do this at all. This is terrible. No, I'm trying to, here. Okay. Here.
We used up all the good jokes last week. Remember that part where Johnny was telling us about a board game called Twilight Struggle, and I made that joke about jerking off in a movie theater? That was hilarious.
Oh my god, it was so good.
It's even better when I spell it out with without any of the context. That doubles the hilarity.
Yeah. If this has been like our worst show. It's just so bad. If anyone wants to watch the new episode of Renegade Cut, I just put it up as of when we're recording this anyway. It's about the French New Wave, which was a film movement, and one would say even a group of people in the late 50s and 60s in France who made some movies. So check it out. So exciting. By the time this is up, this episode is available to people. The Ex Machina episode will also almost be up. So this is that 1 week a month where I pull double duty and make 2 episodes so that I have 5 each month. So it's going to be an exciting week, and only for that reason, and not the other.
Nothing else exciting is happening.
No, nothing. And that's it. That is literally it. The only movies I watched this week, that I would like to talk about are in the video. And I also watched Godzilla, which is the other video. I also watched Godzilla from 2 years ago, and I did not care for it very much. Although I will say that the special effects were done very well, because Godzilla in the movie from 2 years ago, they hid the CGI the way you're supposed to, and that is by always showing the big, impossible-looking monster at night or in fog or half in water, so that you don't see the that you see when, say, a velociraptor during the day is just there and it looks like a fucking cartoon. Whereas they actually handled this really well. That was the only good thing I really want to say about the movie. They handled the special effects exactly the way they should have in a movie such as this, with a big monster or a couple of big monsters. And that's... I
liked the concept on paper, like being really judicious with the use of Godzilla, sure, and making it more about the people and stuff. But at the end of the day, like I left that movie with kind of a bad taste of it being like almost military propaganda.
Oh yeah,
it was creepy.
Oh yeah, well it was. It's one of those movies that I do believe. If I'm wrong about this, I apologize. But it looked very much like one of those movies that got subsidies from the military for portraying them well, based on how accurate all the uniforms looked and everything. And the fact that the uniforms literally said U.S. Navy on one guy, and I was like, wait, you can only do that technically if you're... Never mind. The point is,
you have to apply for that.
Yeah, they got help, is what I'm saying. Much like
Leon, you should make like a little indie movie, and it could just be like about like middle-age ennui or whatever, hipster artist bullshit that you want. But then have like a 5-minute scene where they're like, yeah, the military's pretty cool, isn't it? Like, yeah, I like the military a lot. And they just like turn to the camera and be like, check, please. See if you can get funding.
That's not the worst idea. I feel like they know that trick, though. I feel like someone must have tried that by now.
Yeah. I mean, I have stuff to talk about. I mean, do you guys... I assume Leon got off that boat a long time ago, but Johnny, did you check out the season premiere of Game of Thrones?
I haven't had a chance to yet, no.
Okay. So I won't deep dive or anything, but I think it's picking up. Like, it's actively less gross, and I think it's getting back to some of the strengths of the show. Like, there's actually humor. Like, it's funny for the first time in like a season and a half, which is interesting. And they've also severely minimized the amount of Dornish bullshit that clogged up the last season. So I'm hopeful for the direction it's going in. But yeah, everyone else abandoned me on the Game of Thrones hype train.
I haven't abandoned you. It's just I disliked last season so much. It just nothing fucking happened for the whole thing, and it was just like, oh look, everybody's kind of spinning their wheels, and it's kind of super creepy, and also
it's just dark and hateful and just exploitative and gross.
It was just like nothing. There was nothing interesting going on under the guise of like, oh, the bad things will happen to people repeatedly. That'll keep people interested, and it's like, no, like I want things to happen. I don't want you to just be like, oh, look, everybody's got it so rough right now. Ooh, let's just stew in this for 10 more episodes.
Yeah.
And then everything happened in the fucking last episode, and it was like, really? You couldn't have, like, spread that around a little bit? Like...
Except for Hard Home. That was really good. That's where they blew the entire budget on one fight scene. But, do you guys want to go into questions, or did Johnny have anything that he wanted to bring to the table this week?
Not really, according to the 5 stages of grief, I think I've reached bargaining right now in terms of my Rift delay.
On every show we do, he gives us an update. If you're not listening to the other ones that we do.
I just, it's occurring to me now exactly like what an incredible component shortage must be going on. Because the first 15 minutes, come on, I still have like a month to go.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, manufacturing pipelines are not my area of expertise, but I can only imagine with how much is riding on this launch that this is not your average fuck up. This seems to be a phenomenal, enormous fuck up. Oops.
If
my analysis.
If somebody would be willing to help me get it earlier, I'd say very nice things about the United States military, even though I am not a citizen. That's about as direct an appeal as I'm gonna make.
Okay.
Well, if Ted Cruz could hook you up, would you vote for him? Hypothetically.
Ooh, that's gross, man.
Deal with the devil. Oculus Rift for Ted Cruz.
With Carly Fiorina as a VP?
I feel like he's made his point.
Think
yeah, that's a given now.
Yeah, they're a package deal.
I don't even live in America, but I don't think I could do that to you guys.
You've passed the test. It was a secret test of character. You're allowed to stay on the show.
I will take a moment, though, to re-encourage other people to buy Twilight Struggle on Steam. Because you mentioned it, Austin. You brought it up. Twilight Struggle, everybody, is not really a classic video game as you might consider it. It's actually based on a board game, what is widely considered to be one of the best board games ever made. It's a 2-player war game. You can play either against the CPU or against another player. They have email-style play as well, so you can make a move and then leave it, and then your buddy can make the move the next day or something like that. It's a really good war game because it's not actually really about war. It's about peddling influence. It tracks the Cold War from basically the 1950s all the way up to the end of the Iron Curtain, as it were. A lot of the cards that you play in the game are based around actual historical events. So the board is constantly changing in terms of what's going on during that era. It mimics the space race. It mimics... puppet wars like the Afghan-Russian War, Castro taking over in Cuba. It's a fantastic 2-player war-style game that has an end to it as well. So it's not like Risk where you'll just play and play and play and play and play and play and play until you get sick of it. But it ends at the end of a certain amount of turns, or when one player gets to X amount of victory points, or if somebody starts nuclear war, which is one of the most interesting aspects of it, is that you can make military actions, like fund rebel coups in other countries and other territories, and each time military actions happens in these designated hot states, these hot spots, the DEFCON slider kind of goes down, and if somebody moves it down to that very last one, this is nuclear war, you lose the game. It's a fantastic board game. The translation to Steam, because it's on sale right now on Steam, is like just inch for inch a perfect replica of what it's like to actually play the board game. It's fantastic. Think about picking it up. Nobody wants to play it with me. I'm sad and lonely.
I mean,
Johnny's podcasting career is really just an excuse to find people to play multiplayer games with him.
Not even Leon and Austin will play video games with me. Austin played a little bit of Resident Evil 6 with me once, and then said he never wanted to see my face again. So,
Johnny, do we own any of the same games where there is a multiplayer component?
I'm not sure, Leon. I haven't really. I just assumed in terms of the rarity of you actually playing a video game, and then on top of that, playing a video game that I also have, and then on top of that, at around the same time,
and it being a multiplayer game,
a little touchy. I think you have Saints Row 4, don't you?
Nope, I have 3.
Okay, all right. Because Saints Row 4, I think 3 has cooperative as well. But yeah, it does. Now that I think about it.
Okay.
In my defense, Johnny, the problem was my last computer didn't have enough hard drive space to install any new games, and my new one isn't very powerful. So it's not like I'm ducking you. It's just not ideal to play PC games. If you were on that Splatoon tip when I would have splatted your ass from here to Sunday, bitch.
I know. And I'm telling you this, though, Austin, that if you ever wanted to get into board games, Twilight Struggle would be a perfect place to start. Because you don't have to get 5 people together. It's only a 2-player game. It's got a definitive end. It's good times.
Yeah, that's what I need. I need more really long, complicated things in my life.
It's not a long, complicated. You could probably get a game of Twilight Struggle in like 1 hour, 90 minutes. I'm talking start to finish. It's way longer when you play it in person because you have to do things like shuffle the cards and set up the board and read the rules all the time. But it's a fantastic. The adaptation is actually the Steam adaptation is made by one of the designers of the original game. Ananda Gupta is his name, who's also responsible for making the XCOM sequel. XCOM Enemy Unknown and XCOM Enemy Within, the Firaxis continuations or reboots of the sequels. And so it's like it is as faithful as you get to the original board game, and it was like for anybody who knows anything about board games. BoardGameGeek.com is like the most authoritative resource on the net. Twilight Struggle was the #1 game on BoardGameGeek for 5 years.
Damn,
which
can we get some some sponsorship money for that plug?
It may mean nothing to you guys, but I'm fucking telling you, that shit does not happen easily. And the only reason why it got pushed off was pretty much because of Pandemic Legacy, which is a whole nother kettle of fish. Pandemic Legacy is just like board games evolved. But I'm going to talk about that after. I very recently got a copy of Pandemic Legacy, which is, I think, probably breaking the laws of physics at this point in time. You can't get a hold of it for blood nor money. So after I get into my first session of Pandemic Legacy, I'll talk a little bit about that, but that might not happen for another month or so, because the players that I have drafted to begin the league with me may be unavailable for the next little while.
Johnny, you have flagrantly disobeyed the no gaming policy on this show.
You said no video. You said no video games.
You're talking about you're talking about the video game version of one of them. I feel like that's close.
As I said, not even really a video game. It is like a par for par, straight adaptation of the board game.
Strike one, Maloney.
You're on thin ice. Like that. It looks exactly like the board sitting out in front of you.
You don't even know what happens when you get 3 strikes, Johnny. Your butt will never be the same. Can I start
That's
reading
okay,
questions?
I've been training.
We answered this one last week, but it's a quick one. Johnny can just shut up. We just spit the answer out. Alexis David asked, has Johnny considered compiling his Dice Funk material and releasing it? It would be most interesting.
The short version of this is we're going to be doing a post-mortem of the first season of Dice Funk after we finish the campaign. We're going to be talking a lot about my designs during that. And yeah, I might hand over my plot Bible to Austin, which is written in a pretty terrible shorthand. But if people want to have a look at it, certainly. I guess also, if you decided to pick it up, download it, and you had questions about it, I would be available on Twitter too. So, yeah, that's the short.
Cool. That was a lot shorter than last week.
I feel no need to rehash it, even though other people didn't really hear it.
Since we're just rehashing everything we did last week, you guys want to talk about time travel for 25 minutes?
I would love to, but I feel like part of the problem of re-answering too many of the old questions or going back into topics is that we would just repeat ourselves.
I know.
I want to have new and exciting time travel. I wish we could travel in time back to before that conversation and have it again.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Here's one I'm actually curious about. Johnny probably can help elucidate. Robert Paulson asked, why is a curved 4K better than a flat 4K? Television is the missing word there, but what's up with these new curved TVs?
Curved monitors are better for a couple of reasons. One, they tend to reduce glare, because when you're sitting and watching them, a flat surface angles reflection a lot more effectively. When you curve the monitor slightly, it tends not to blast into your face so much, like alternate kind of light sources around the room. It's also, if it's large enough, there's I think it reduces eye strain or something like that, because everything kind of sits a little more equidistant to your eyes, or something like that. It's about how like the way the light redirects into the cornea or something along those lines. I read that somewhere, but. I mean, it's not... If you're looking at buying a new monitor,
I mean, are you guys on 4K yet?
No. For the purposes of video gaming right now, at least anyways, it's probably going to be at least another card generation before you can actually really squeeze the most out of 4K. And I mean, most Blu-rays, even at this point in time, don't celebrate it as a resolution option.
My computer monitor is my television, so it's it's a pretty big sized monitor, But no, it's not. Yeah. It's not curved or anything fancy. It just plays my stuff that I need. That's all.
Yeah, the price is going to have to come down a lot on that. I would even the HD adoption. I don't think would have happened at the rate it did if it didn't become like standard. Basically, like all TVs are HD capable now. It's not even a thing. But like to have to go out and compare and contrast like image quality, like nobody does that. Like people aren't tech savvy enough to bother with like TV resolution shit.
Yeah, and things like the 3D TVs and things like that. I mean, one of the reasons why 3D TVs didn't take off is because the price didn't drop fast enough.
Yep. You can only do so much with early adopters.
It's a gimmick, yeah. That's fair. Like 3D is there's a lot of problems with 3D. I did a lot of reading of it a while ago, actually, when I started investigating a 3D setup for my computer, which I still have and works really great. But despite the fact that it is a gimmick, if you made it cheap enough, people would go, well, yeah, okay.
Yep. All right, here's another question. Jade asks, if you could learn another language, which would you learn and why? I know Leon's all up in the French right now.
Yep, I'm learning to speak French bit by bit. I'm, portioning out like 10 minutes out of each day to study French, which is not a lot, but, it's what I can fit in. So long as I do it consistently, I find that I am learning things. And then I can watch my French movies, and when they say a word, I'm like, wait, I know what that one means. That one means sick. Ah, yeah, got it. And, I mean, I have the subtitles on. It's not necessary. I just want to be able to know another language because my Spanish kind of dropped off the map. And I watch a lot of French movies and shit.
So, I mean, the question depends on, is this like a magic button you push and you just gain a language? Or is it like, which language would you learn if you had the extra time? Because I'd like to brush up on my Spanish. I went from like conversationally adequate to essentially nothing again, because it's been like 7 years. But if there was like a magic language button, I would probably go with something that didn't even use the same alphabet just to get like maximum learnage. So probably like Japanese or something, so I could watch like anime with no subtitles. That'd be pretty cool. But I mean, realistically, it's probably just fix my Spanish, get my Spanish back in order.
For me, probably something a little bit more utilitarian. We have a lot of Asiatic cultures in the Greater Vancouver Regional District. There are a lot of Indian population, so it might be beneficial to learn to speak Hindi, possibly. But then we have a lot of like Eastern Asiatic cultures as well, like lots of Korean, lots of Chinese. Lots of Japanese, so something, maybe based on a kanji style alphabet, or Korean. Yeah,
that's the biggest jump, is like going to an entirely different alphabet.
Yeah,
you can basically like get in with less work if you're trying to go from like Spanish to French to German or something, because you're like, oh, I've seen that letter.
Yeah. But like, something like Mandarin. Oh, people talk about English being a really hard language to learn. Mandarin is nuts. Just like nuts, because it's like it's almost like if you would imagine our alphabet, except that every letter was a word. You know, like Mandarin's not a set of, at least I think it's Mandarin. I'm pretty sure it's Mandarin. I might be getting it mixed up for Cantonese, but basically it's like every word in Mandarin is just like a character, like a symbol. And so it's like, according to how large your vocabulary is, it's like the alphabet is bigger.
Yeah.
So, like, the written vocabulary in Mandarin is just like, here's a symbol. Okay, that's automobile. Next!
I mean, I'm no expert, especially in, like, Chinese languages or anything, but it's my understanding a lot of it is pronunciation, too. Like, even if you got fluent in
verbally,
writing it.
There's a lot of intonation in Mandarin that completely changes the meaning of a word. Mind you, the same is it's true of, I think, Arabic as well. But Arabic, very recently, as in the past couple 100 years, actually devised a system of written notation that indicates intonation. So,
yeah, it's crazy because I did a lot of religious studies. When you learn about ancient Hebrew, they didn't use vowels, so we don't actually know how a lot of those words are pronounced. We just kind of guess, assuming what the vowels were. That's where you get Yahweh is written YHWH. Like, we just assume it's Yahweh. We don't actually know what was in those slots. Language is really interesting, and it's just something that I feel like the average person doesn't have enough time to dedicate themselves to, but it's really cool if you can. This is a good question, but I don't know if this violates Leon's rule. Let's give it.
It almost certainly will. If you have to think about it, but okay.
If you have to ask, you'll never know. Well, you can always tell me to stop and you'll edit it out if you don't like it. But I think it's interesting. Jovan Hampton asks, if each of you could make your own game.
No.
No? This isn't about video games, though. What genre would you make it in? See, you don't have to give any controversial opinions about the video games. But for everybody, this is a good opportunity. If you want to ask video game related questions, I will ask for them on Saturday in the middle of the day, because that's when we record our video game show. So that's where that'll be. I'm at Austin Yorsky on Twitter.
If I could make a game, it wouldn't be video game. I want people to play Punch Bug Freemason more, which is exactly like Punch Buggy Blue, where you see, like a VW bug and it's blue and you punch someone, you say, Punch Bug Blue. But this is more like if you ever see someone have a Masonic symbol on their car.
Is that a common occurrence?
Oh, yeah. Where I live, yeah. Yeah, all the time. I feel,
because you're near the D.C. area.
Yeah, I guess.
Where all the power is.
Yeah, no, I pass by people with Mason stuff on their license plates and on bumper stickers. I see someone with a Freemason car. Not a Freemason car. Like, the whole car is just
Shaped like a triangle. Illuminati cars.
No. No, but I see one at least every day because, there's one in the parking lot of where I work. But yeah, no, I see it quite a bit. So I think that would be a great, like, car trip game. But only in my area, I guess. Oh, well.
Near the seat of power.
Yeah.
Johnny, what kind of game would you make if you're going to make a game? It doesn't have to be a video game. It could be a board game. Anything to appease Leon.
Are we talking? We're talking like sort of like genre, though, right?
Yeah. The question is, what genre would you make it in?
I would probably at this point in time, seeing as how I've just had my hand at writing a kind of a medieval fantasy / horror.
Yeah, I was thinking for a later season we might play Call of Cthulhu, but that feels redundant at this point, honestly.
Nah, Call of Cthulhu has some really good mechanisms in it. Like, it's worth checking out for its systems. Call of Cthulhu's a really decent role-playing game that doesn't get enough attention. I think probably next I'd try my hand at some science fiction. I don't know if that means something kind of cyberpunk-ish, or like deep science fiction, like space, or a sort of like, I don't know, something kind of The Expanse-ish, or even like Mass Effect-y. I don't think it would be, what's the word I'm looking for? As saccharine as Mass Effect. From those of you,
it wouldn't have as many feels.
Well, I mean, from those of you who listen to Dice Funk, some of the plotting that I write is that one of the things that I really like to do with my fiction, and in this case, my fiction as it relates to player action, is try and create a world that feels like it lives and breathes around the players. Like,
so that we constantly stumble upon dead, beloved NPCs, yes.
Not that you constantly stumble upon dead, beloved NPCs, but that things are happening around you, and the world isn't just waiting for your actions. Like, one of the most important things about some of the NPC design that I've done is that everybody wants to accomplish something. And while the players are busy doing other things, those NPCs are going about furthering their plans. They're trying.
The Kurt Vonnegut quote is every character should want something, even if it's just a glass of water.
Yeah, exactly. And in this case, like having the players make decisions about how they want to influence the universe around them also informs how the universe acts in their absence. Because it's really great to give players a sense of agency, to make them feel that they're making choices that are actually affecting the universe around them. But in order for other characters to really be characters, they need to be doing things when you leave the room. Like it's always been kind of annoying in games like Mass Effect, to where it's like, well, I guess I better go find Jacob because he's always polishing his gun.
I mean, no one can ever say that your DM style doesn't lead to player agency, because we have made our mark on the world of Stone Root, mostly with fire, but we have made a mark.
Sure.
So, science fiction is really kind of like my first love of literature and genres and things like that. It's something that I owe to my dad. So I think like that would probably be something that I explored.
Yeah. Oh man, but so you're thinking like if you were gonna make a game, it'd be science fiction, but would it be like an RPG? Is you thinking like a Infinity Engine style?
No, not Infinity Engine style. That doesn't really give itself to science fiction too well, because science fiction, you want to explore environments. You want to one of the best things about science fiction is the visual aspect of it. And Infinity RPGs, well, systematically interesting and really great about being able to control like parties of people and things like that. They're very visually limiting. It might be. maybe, it might be interesting to do an exploration style game, something in the vein of like, maybe if Star Trek met something like EVE Online or something, where it's about corporates, conglomerations, and the only real reason why people are bothering to expand into space is because there's money out there, and then actually suddenly bringing race relations, social relativism,
Get your politics out of my video games.
Nah, I mean,
Goddamn
these are interesting things. They're interesting things to explore. Like I've always appreciated the religious debate about whether or not aliens exist. What does that say about the existence of God? I mean, we talked about this, the origin of Gorfanax, as a discussion about us, coming across another race of aliens. It's like, hey, have you heard the word of Gorfanax? So, I mean, like, these are interesting themes to consider. The human identity in relation to the universe. And while Mass Effect kind of touched on that in the first game, where it's like, oh my god, the first human Spectre, it very quickly turned into, come on, guys, we gotta save the galaxy.
I mean, when you're making a mainstream product, you kind of have to do a certain crowd-pleasing structure. If you look at
that's fine.
The Marvel movies, for instance, they all kind of adhere to a save the world plot because it gets the people going.
Like I said, that's fine, But like, if I was gonna make a game, I would probably make something a little bit more.
No Man's Sky.
Maybe a mixture of kind of like No Man's Sky meets kind of like Star Trek kind of meets. EVE Online / Twilight Struggle.
Oh, Twilight Struggle. You again. I know we wasted a lot of Leon's precious lifetime with that long rambling answer, so I'll try to keep mine short. But I've actually had 2 video game ideas for a long time, and I'm always creating stuff. Like, I've written like several novels and just dragged them right to the recycle bin, because by the time I finish a long project, I hate it, because I feel like I've improved so much as a writer that I can't stand my own old writing anymore. But I'm always doing stuff. I mean, you know how many podcasts I've started. This is like the 5th, the 6th. I have a bunch, but I've also really been wanting to make a game. So I'm actually currently learning how to program. So maybe I doubt you will ever see a completed video game project from me, just because of the person I am, because of the flawed human brain I have. But I'm definitely actually currently thinking about some of that stuff, and just based on my skill level, it's almost certainly going to be a visual novel. But that's one of the ideas. The other thing, like dream project, like Jesus comes down and blesses me with ultimate game developer powers, it would probably be something similar
Rage?
to yeah, definitely Primal Rage 3. Oh no, it'd be Primal Rage versus Bloody Roar. No, something closer to like Shadow of the Colossus. I'm very interested in the kind of stripped down, a series of really important feeling encounters instead of like lots of filler and like time wasting stuff. I really just want to give a concentrated emotional and mechanical, sequences for like people to chew over, to think about, to explore, and then to be done. Like, I don't want to waste people's time. I want them to feel like they can get in and get out and understand what I was trying to do rather quickly. That's something I like a lot. So that's that answer. We're about an hour. How would you feel about more questions, Leon?
Let's
you
do
busy?
it. Yeah, we can do that.
I feel so bad for him. He's having a bad episode, but I'm having fun.
Sorry, I'm just gonna like spice up this episode by having like lots of like really cool music in the background, and every time Johnny talks, there's just gonna be like rap.
Yeah, someone asked if we'd ever put Word Funk up for like iTunes or syndication or something. It's like, not only because we're embarrassed of it, but also because we use licensed music, and you cannot do that.
Yeah.
All the music I use for Dice Funk and Game Crunk are like, I'm allowed to. Like, there's rules in the Overclocked Remix download stuff where it's like, as long as you give credit, you can use their stuff for podcasts specifically, which is why I do that. Anyway, Brent asks, is it okay for a person or studio to make a dozen bad, profitable products so that they can fund a risky, promising product? AKA, is it okay to sell out if it gives you the money to do something you really want to do, something artistic and cool?
Totally.
You don't feel like that's damaging to an artist's like integrity?
Not as long as they're clear about it.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know if your publisher would let you come out and say like, yeah, we know these suck.
Yeah,
no,
you're not
I mean,
gonna
like,
be able to,
you know,
you're not gonna-
for example, like, one of my favorite electronic musicians, Amon Tobin, who records under his own name, many years ago, started licensing his music out to Coca-Cola commercials because the person who was directing these Coca-Cola commercials, also really famous for directing Marilyn Manson music videos as well, really liked Amon Tobin's music. And they got so bent out of shape, his fans did, I should say, that that his music was in a Coca-Cola commercial, that he actually had to write a press release that was like, look, guys, I know you really love my music, and I'm glad that you do, and I'm glad that you buy it, and I want to keep making more music that you love, but it doesn't always pay the bills. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, I have to eat. So if you want me to keep making music, if you want me to not have a day job and have like regular releases so that you can get more of that stuff that you love, I need to get paid.
Yeah, capitalism isn't exactly compatible with the purest forms of artistic expression, unfortunately. Ideally, artists would only make the things they're most interested and skilled at making, but oof, it's hard out there, guys. Landlords don't accept ideas
no.
for cool shit.
So if you've got to, like, if you have to close your books on that novel that you want to write at the end of the day because you're doing articles for Sports Illustrated or BuzzFeed or what have you, or if you've got this really sweet idea for, an artistic adventure game where characters communicate only using music with each other by, like, manipulating facial expressions to create different sounds, that's fantastic, but, I mean, like, these days we should at least be thankful that things like Patreon and Kickstarter give us the opportunity to actually do things that we're interested in doing, as long as like other people are interested enough to pay you for it. I mean, you're never going to be a very glamorous lifestyle unless you're one of the lucky chosen few that has that broad mass appeal for what you want to do. But most of these people need to hold day jobs, and it's really lucky if you get to have a day job that well, I mean, Leon, you're probably more of an expert on this than I am.
Look, how do I put this? Whenever someone's like, man, you should just make your show for fun, and there should never be money involved, like, you don't do your job for nothing either. We all expect a paycheck for our work. That's all there is to it, because I require shelter and food. I don't pay much for entertainment because, like, a Netflix, subscription pretty much does it.
Yeah. I think most artists would say that they would like to do all their stuff for free if they could. It's just not a possibility. It reminds me of, like, Herman Melville and, like, Charles Dickens. They would serialize their famous stories and really, really bump up the word count, describing, like, garbage, basically, that people always skip over when they read those in school.
Conan Doyle, too. Or Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. All of Sherlock Holmes' stories were serialized.
Mm-hmm. And even, like, relatively recently, Stephen King got his start doing short stories in Playboy, which was a real thing that used to happen for any young listeners who associate that only with, what do they do now? Because they don't do nudity. I actually don't know what Playboy does now.
Short stories.
Yeah.
Are they back to it?
It's all articles, I know that. So I wouldn't be surprised if there were short stories in there.
People are legitimately reading it only for the articles now. That's not like an excuse.
I bet they're listicles, because that's the era we live in. Okay. Top 10 times we used to show boobs.
Yeah, but listicles
Number 3 will blow your mind.
Listicles are so contemporary, though. You can't publish you can't, like, pass a listicle, send it to the printers, get it printed out, and then, like, mail it to your subscriber, and then have it show up, like, 2 weeks after it's relevant.
Listicles are timeless, Johnny. Everyone knows that.
Top one time you were wrong about listicles. At the first one, you won't believe.
I always like when they name, like, a random number, like number 3 will change your perspective or something. It's like, why is it at number 1 then? Why is number 3 so special? Your ranking doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I think that about covers that question. How are you guys feeling about those answers?
Oh, not good at all about anything.
I gave this whole speech on the episode we lost, but I'm like super thankful for the people who listen and support us.
Yeah.
Like 2016 is shaping up to be like the best year of my life. I cannot even like have imagined where I am right now, even with like an actually like objectively small listener base. But whatever, like I'm having the time of my life. I get to record this fun shit with my friends. Like I'm gonna go off to like a pretty prestigious job. Like everything's coming up awesome right now, and I'm super thankful for everybody who's allowed me to do this stupid thing every week. And I just like, even a quote unquote bad episode is just a ton of fun for me.
Okay.
So I like it.
All right.
I personally feel pretty hopeless about everything, but then, you know.
See, but that's why you're a good contrast for me. You keep me grounded, Johnny.
You just gotta laugh at the chaos.
So, Becky, one of our listeners, just sent in, not a question, but says that when she first listened to the new Game Crunk episode, she thought your brother was you sped up as a joke.
Nope. Actually, my brother.
That other show is going to be even stupider than this one, and I'm so excited.
Yeah.
All right. Do you guys want to close this one out?
Oh,
Put this one in the record books?
God, yes.
Oh, Leon sounds so sad. Hold on. There was a question about Leon I wanted to read.
Oh, great.
Here it is. Robert Paulson asks, is Leon good? Does he need anything? Does everyone quit when they get successful enough?
I mentioned on the preemptive fact that the reasons I left are private, and I'm just not gonna get into all that. I mean, I don't need Channel Awesome anymore for the reasons I mentioned, but it's not like that's the reason. I didn't just like wake up one day. I'm like, you know what? Forget it. I don't need you guys anymore.
But are you good?
Oh,
is Leon good?
Does that mean like, am I okay? Like financially? Yes. But are you saying like, am I a good person? I don't know.
That's the full context of the question. Is Leon good?
Yeah.
Does he need anything?
Oh, no, I'm fine. Everything's good. I mean, if you want to support me through Patreon, that's where the money from Renegade Cut comes from. So you can go to patreon.com/Renegade Cut. But, you don't have to, and it's fine. Just subscribe to my YouTube, and, that's fine.
Yeah. That's another thing. When we just put up that new show on that feed, and like I know everyone hates hearing this on podcasts or on YouTube, but like, oh, if you go subscribe or you give a rating or a review or whatever, that's super helpful. And like, yes, that's true. But like, have you ever wondered what that means? Because what it means is it bumps things up the like charts, like on YouTube's discoverability or on the iTunes charts. And then when people see the shit, they go scroll down to the reviews and they're like, oh, it has 100 5-star reviews. This will be good. I'll listen to it. And that's like the only way for us to get like the word out about stuff. Cause like we don't take out ads. So that's like the actual reason for all that stuff. And it's especially helpful now with this shift, which Leon keeps insisting is not a big deal, but it couldn't hurt. Like it couldn't hurt.
No, it couldn't hurt.
Subscribe to his YouTube channel.
No, you always subscribe. I mean, not just for my sake, but for yours. If you subscribe, then you never miss anything. It's just practical. I'm not saying, please subscribe. It gives me extra money. No, it doesn't. When there's a new subscriber, I don't like get a penny or something every time. It just means you can watch my show, and I have a general idea of how many people will potentially watch each episode. And that's it.
Well, also it's algorithmic because YouTube's recently changed some of their stuff. It used to be based on views. Now it's based on view time.
Yeah.
And it's not so much about viewers as it is subscribers. And there's all these like algorithms going on in the background about like which videos they suggest to people watching similar stuff. So like it doesn't help in a direct, obvious way. But that's like the mechanics of what's going on there.
I have almost 11,000 subscribers, which sounds like a lot. Yeah, that's it. Anything you guys want to say before we go?
Nothing good ever comes from sticking meat in a thresher machine, people.
All right.
I haven't tried it, so I can't rule it out. What is the first word? This is Robert Paulson, again. Just
sure
fucking platinum member, question asker. Robert Paulson asks, what is the first word that comes into your head when you see yourself in the mirror naked?
Nice.
Why? Nice.
I try not to look.
Oh yeah, I think that tells us everything you need to know about us.
It's more like a feeling. It's like, oh,
More than a feeling?
it's it's more of a feeling.
Oh, I thought we were gonna talk about Boston real quick.
No.
That's,
Yeah,
that
for
first
a
album,
second there, I was just imagining Leon doing some air guitar,
Oh God, no.
naked, in the bathroom, maybe a little damp from a shower still.
Okay. I don't. You shouldn't dance when you're wet. You'll slip. I mean, that's just.
I don't know what kind of bath mat you have.
I don't have a bath mat. I just step on the tile. Well, I don't. I put a towel down and I step on the towel. Just in case anyone.
now you know.
Just in case anyone wanted that hot image of me stepping out of the shower, ashamed of everything about me.
And then very sadly going, "It's more than a feeling."
More than a feeling.